Jalen Johnson was always seen as a guy dripping with potential. Valuable? Absolutely. But a true franchise changer? Nobody was saying that. Until now. The Hawks shipped out Trae Young and tossed Jalen the keys. Just like that, everything changed. But let's keep it real. This road was not smooth. You'd think a five-star high school recruit heading to Duke was a guaranteed lottery pick. Duke is a factory for NBA talent. But his one season there, it hurt him. He made a massive call, skip March Madness, leave early, and go all in on the NBA draft. That decision shook his stock hard. But guess what? Since then, Jalen hasn't just lived up to expectations as a mid to late first-round pick. He has absolutely soared. All-star, top forward in the East. The man is for real. So what makes Jalen Johnson different? What's that special sauce that even other NBA stars just don't have? That's exactly what we're getting into today. We've got NBA legends, LeBron, Steve Nash, all speaking on Jalen's incredible rise. And one of the first people to spot his genius wasn't even famous. He was just a teammate watching up close during Jalen's rookie year. That season, Jalen played just 120 minutes, 5.5 minutes a game across 20 games. But even in those small moments, the flashes were there. Bogdan Bogdanović saw it. He saw it.
What about your rookie, Jalen Johnson, with five big dunks there?
So proud of him. You know, he didn't get the chance to play early in the year, but he's a competitor and he kept on working, you know, and he showed he can play.
It's wild to look back at that now. Jalen went from the last guy on the bench to the guy running the whole show. But trust me, it did not happen overnight. His sophomore season, still grinding for minutes. At least he cracked the rotation this time, pulling around 15 minutes a night. But the numbers were modest, 5.6 points and 4 boards per game. Good, not great. Then year 3 hit, and things got crazy. Jalen's numbers jumped across the board. He locked down a starting spot and became a key piece in Quinn Snyder's system. But here's the thing, it wasn't just the stats that were turning heads. Every single time Jalen stepped on that floor, he was cooking up highlights, the kind that make you rewind your screen and say, wait, did he just do that?
Turnover time taken by Johnson. He's going to go all the way and throw it down. And one.
After that game, reporters rushed straight to Austin. They had to know what went down. And when he finally answered, it was hilarious.
You know, I think that might be the first time I've ever been, like, really dunked on. So I made it a really long time without being very athletic, picking my spots to get out of the way. Tried to take a charge. I don't know. Super athletic kid. And, you know, he got one.
Reeves said he had never been posterized like that before, not once in his career. And he made sure to call Jalen an incredibly athletic kid. You'll hear that a lot when players talk about Johnson. But then, disaster struck. Jalen suffered a season-ending injury in the 24-25 season, and Hawk fans were scared. And here's the thing, this wasn't new. The red flags around his ankle had been there all the way back at Duke. It was a real concern. But before all that went down, Jalen was in the middle of yet another breakout season. And it wasn't just fans noticing. NBA legends were already talking about him. The big names were paying attention.
Is he the most improved player this year? If not, who is?
I'm rolling. I think he is. He the perfect complement to Trae Young. When you look at his versatility, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 50% shooting from the field, inside on the offensive glass, fast breaks, three-pointer, highlights, talking about somebody who made that leap.
Baron Davis was convinced 100% that Jalen had to win Most Improved Player last season. No debate. Baron broke down the stats and the game itself. And listen, he was spot on. Jalen is an absolute monster on the offensive glass. He runs the transition game like nobody's business. The handles are smooth, and the highlights, they just keep coming. But here's where it gets really interesting. Baron didn't stop there. He said something big that some of the greatest players to ever lace up will actually agree with later. All-time greats nodding their heads at what Baron Davis said. You're going to want to stick around for that.
And he gives them a certain versatility where he can guard almost 1 through 5 with the way that they play.
And this is what makes Jalen so special on defense. The man can guard positions 1 through 5. Let that sink in. 1 through 5. In today's NBA, that kind of versatility is gold. Playoff teams are constantly hunting the weak link on defense, finding that one guy they can attack over and over. But with Jalen Johnson on the floor, there is no weak link. He switches onto anybody and holds his own. That's incredibly rare. That's what separates the good from the great. And when Baron Davis finished making his case, Draymond Green heard every single word. And you know what? Draymond couldn't agree more. When Draymond Green is nodding his head, you know it's real.
I love it. I think he playing great basketball, and I definitely think he the most improved player. Just with the leaps he's taking, I can stamp that one for sure. Most definitely.
But here's the tough part. Even with Draymond and Baron Davis both saying Jalen deserved Most Improved Player, even with him on pace to actually win it, it was his own teammate, Dyson Daniels, who took home that trophy. And the reason? Simple. Jalen missed too many games. It just wasn't enough. But Jalen didn't sulk. He didn't quit. That offseason, he got straight to work. And now, in the 25-26 season, the man is putting up incredible numbers. Triple-doubles are becoming just another Tuesday for Jalen Johnson. He's not just a star anymore. He's the undisputed leader of the Atlanta Hawks, the face of the franchise. And the player who has best described what Jalen brings this season? None other than LeBron James. So, if you've been waiting for the answer, what truly makes Jalen Johnson so special? Buckle up, because here comes the full scouting report.
You look at a guy with long arms, 6'9", 6'10", runs like a deer, super athletic. He's improved his outside touch, but like you said, putting pressure on the rim, his ability to rebound, he can guard 1 through 5, for the majority of ones and fives. There's some fives that would be a little bit challenging, but that's what, you're talking about Embiid, you're talking about Joker, obviously they're mismatches for anybody.
We're talking Embiid. We're talking Joker. Yeah, there are mismatches for anybody at that level. But LeBron broke it down perfectly. He says Jalen is 6'9", maybe 6'10", with long arms for days. Says he runs like a deer, super athletic, improved shooting touch, can attack the rim, can make plays for others. Sound familiar? Because just like LeBron himself, Jalen can do everything on the court. The skill, the athleticism, the size, it's the whole package. And notice something. LeBron said the exact same thing Baron Davis said. Jalen Johnson can guard 1 through 5 in almost any situation. When LeBron James and Baron Davis are saying the same thing independently, that tells you everything you need to know. But Bron didn't stop there. He didn't just break down what makes Jalen special right now. He went further. He talked about Jalen's upside. And if you thought what we just covered was impressive, wait until you hear where LeBron thinks this kid is actually headed.
I love his ceiling. I don't know what his ceiling is, but I know it's not low. I think it continue I think it's very high, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I think he's on pace to be an all-star in the East this year for sure. There's no doubt about it.
At the start of that clip, LeBron looks almost hesitant, like he's carefully choosing his words. But then he finally lets it out. High ceiling. Jalen Johnson has a high ceiling. And not only that, Bron accurately predicted Jalen would make the All-Star team this season, averaging 23, 10, and 8. And guess what? It happened. Selected as a reserve. The man called it. And speaking of how locked in Jalen has been this season, I was glued to the Hawks versus Heat game the other day. And that's actually a perfect example of how I trade games live on Polymarket. Because if you truly understand the landscape of a game, the market gives you free opportunities. I opened Polymarket before tip and saw the Hawks sitting as underdogs at just 48% to win. And I was shocked because the Heat had 3 starters ruled out. So I pulled the trigger immediately on this Jalen Johnson-led Hawks team to get the win. I also noticed Jalen had been scoring more than 6 points per game in the first quarter alone, getting off to hot starts consistently. And with Trae Young gone, Jalen is operating more as a facilitator, averaging 1 more assist per game without Trae. Just like I predicted, Jalen was electric. 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists on 6 of 11 shooting in the first half alone. Those odds that started at 48%, they jumped all the way to 93% by halftime. And that's exactly when I made my move. Right there, live, during the game, I sold my position, cashed out at halftime, and made almost double my bet without sweating out a potential Heat comeback. That's the best part about Polymarket. A sportsbook would never let you do that. You place a bet with a sportsbook, you're stuck, praying, sweating, hoping. But on Polymarket, you have real flexibility. You're trading momentum. You're reacting to information in real time. You're buying and selling positions during the game, just like this. That's the difference. If you actually know ball, if you understand matchups, rotations, momentum swings, Polymarket lets you act on that edge during the game, not after it's already over. That's why I use it. Stop letting sportsbooks take your money. Download Polymarket right now using the link in the description. And just after all that, another legend steps up. Steve Nash not only agrees with LeBron, he goes even further. Nash says Jalen is going to be a perennial all-star throughout his career, and in NBA terms, that means one of the best players of the entire decade in the Eastern Conference. Steve Nash said that.
No, for sure. I think he's playing at all-star level, and I think he's, with some health, I think he's a perennial all-star, just the way he's started. Because this is the first year he's really had this much responsibility.
Exactly.
By this point, everybody had noticed. The whole league was talking. And of course, that included the Atlanta Hawks themselves, because in early January 2026, Annie Cleat made the most pivotal decision in recent Hawks history. He traded away all-star point guard Trae Young and handed Jalen Johnson the keys to the entire franchise. Now let's be clear, this wasn't some dramatic falling out. It wasn't one of those ugly wall clashes like Washington had back in the day. Not even close. Because here's the thing. Trae Young was actually Jalen Johnson's biggest supporter on that team. Every single chance Trae got, he was out there hyping Jalen up, putting respect on his name publicly. And in December 2025, just 1 month before that blockbuster trade, Zach Langley uploaded a video pulling up all the receipts. Trae Young on camera again and again saying Jalen Johnson is going to be a star, praising him every chance he got. And man, was Trae right all along or what?
Jalen? Yeah, that boy's a star. But don't act like I didn't warn y'all, man. Like, I got some more clips for y'all. He's so talented. Like, he can rebound and push it like a guard and then play above the rim like a big. I mean, and his ability to be better at shooting this year, it's like he should have, won most improved player if he would have played enough games. But
Trae gives the exact same reasons as LeBron on why Jalen Johnson is destined to be a star in this league. He calls him super talented and breaks down the different layers of his game. The rebounding, the ability to play both as a guard and as a big, the improved shooting touch that keeps defenders on their toes. And when you put it all together, Trae is basically saying Jalen Johnson deserved to win Most Improved Player this season. No question about it. His own teammate was going to bat for him publicly. But here's the thing, it doesn't end there, because the praise just keeps coming and coming. And trust me, you are not ready for what's next.
This dude has so much game, man. Like, he has so much game that I don't even think he really understands the potential he has yet. He has so much more room for growth. And what you've seen from him now is just the tip of the iceberg. And obviously he's been carrying us throughout this run and putting up crazy numbers and playing super efficient and just playing the way we all know that's been in the building around him, practices, and seeing him work out and seeing the work that he puts in.
And it looks like Trae literally saw the future coming, because he straight up says Jalen Johnson is already carrying the Hawks this season. But then he drops something even more mind-blowing. Young says Jalen doesn't even realize how enormous his own potential is. Now that's almost heartbreaking when you think about it. A star hyping up his own replacement like that. But you cannot deny two things. First, Trae Young might be one of the most egoless stars in the entire game today. He genuinely does not care about being the guy. And second, he was one of the first people to see exactly how good Jalen Johnson was going to become. And when you listen to all these legends and former players talking about Jalen, you start noticing patterns. But here's what surprises me the most. Every single player describes him in a slightly different way because his game is so wide, so versatile, it's almost impossible to pin down just one thing. He's a defensive monster, a glass-cleaning forward averaging double-digit rebounds, one of the most unstoppable players in transition, and an absolute bucket-getter. But even that isn't the whole story. Jalen can pass, he can make plays, he can orchestrate an entire offense. Like Cade Cunningham, he's a modern offensive engine who raises the floor of every single team he steps on. And that is exactly what you need to compete in today's NBA. Now yes, the Atlanta Hawks are still a work in progress, still figuring out the formula with their young core, but when they finally crack that code, they could be one of the scariest teams in the entire Eastern Conference. Because honestly, everyone is expecting them to have a breakout season next year, just like those Pistons did in 2025. And all of it, every single bit of it, depends on the further development of one special player who could completely rewrite the history of a franchise that's finally finding its identity. But what do you think? Do you agree with these legends? Is Jalen Johnson as good as they're all saying? Or do you see something in his game that makes you think he won't reach that insane ceiling? Drop it in the comments right now. I want to hear from you. And if you love deep dives into basketball stories like this one, the hype, the drama, and the real story behind it all, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Don't miss what's coming next.